understand that. But on the other hand, what do you think, or how do you think I can prioritize, I guess, what I need to do to prepare myself to, I guess, leave where I am?
I mean, as far as a lot of the change that I've made for myself, I've always been a list maker. That's something that's helped me break it down, even as far as I actually have a name for it. I don't just call them lists, I call them schematics. So
Okay.
it's really almost, I write them almost down as a story in a sense, and you could say that I've lived by that story, lived or walked the schematic that I would write out in a sense. So it really is kind of like a roadmap for me. That's kind of like what I do
Now,
or
see, I do that far as work.
mm-hmm,
I'm notorious for, I call it my mapping. I'm
mm-hmm,
good at mapping for work, but I haven't done it for myself.
yeah.
So I guess I have to put that pen to that paper and figure it out.
Mm. It's something, I mean, because I will say that, did I start doing it in relation to work? I honestly think I've just been doing it my whole life.
Really? Mine's
From a
always
very
been work.
young age.
Maybe because it's legal and you do need to
Mhm,
have a lot of documentation, a lot of correspondence, we have a lot of deadlines. You can't
mhm,
miss those. So I think that's where it came from. So that's probably why I don't do it for myself. Like it's mostly in my head. Okay, this is what I'm going to do.
mhm.
Okay, next.
I will say when I'm doing it in relation, because again, for business stuff, to some extent, I do to some extent add timelines or deadlines into it if it's really important. But when I do it for myself, it's usually just about, let's say I want to make this move. I don't really heavily put deadlines in there because, there's a lot that can come with that,
Hmm.
anxiety and just a little bit of extra. I mean, if you feel like that's what you need to do, especially if maybe you're wanting to do something that needs to be done by a certain time, you know.
Right.
However, when with my life itself, I often live by divine timing. And when you understand or live by divine timing, that's living on God's timing when it wants you to do things. There are things that I've planned to do, and Spirit was like, "Oh, nope, sooner."
Hmm.
A lot sooner than you think, Samantha. And I'm like, okay. And sometimes it's been like, not just yet, maybe a little bit longer than you think when I've wanted it to be sooner.
Excuse
So,
me. Hmm.
bless you. But yeah, like
Thank you.
so I really have in the back in the day, I did have more of like I want it to be done by this and that time frame and everything else. But now I do that a lot less unless it's really necessary. Like I have to do this because this is the deadline for something. But for the most part, I find it really hard to do that, at least with my personal understandings, because spirit is always, I'm thinking it's one thing, and spirit will be like, nope, it's completely something else. As far as the timing aspect of it. So I really just have learned to accept, if I'm planning this understanding of this understanding feels intuitively right, I will trust the energy understanding of when I should do it. Even if, sometimes it may make me feel anxiety because it feels too soon, or it's frustrating because it feels too long. But often it's, especially recently, it's felt too soon. you know it's felt like, oh my God, do this, and I'm like, this is too much, it takes a lot.
Right. I
But
think that's the operative word for me right now is trust.
mm,
Trust. Like I do trust, but then it's like, how spirit will tell you one thing and it's true, and you're like, but it's taking too long. So what's wrong? Or am I doing the wrong thing?
mm,
Or did I do something wrong? And
yeah.
you start to wibble wobble like, well, maybe I need to do something else. That's scary.